Hello, Beanie family. I am Bean, and welcome back to my channel. Hello, you guys. So, it's been such a long time since I recorded a video. Life has been insane. So much has been happening. I will be recording another video on everything that's been happening and everything that has conspired and what is to really come for me. But that's not the point of this video. In this video, I will be talking to you guys about how I found out I was pregnant, how I knew I was pregnant, and my kind of backstory on it. I may do the whole backstory on, my PCOS, but I'm just going to basically tell you guys how I found out that I was pregnant. So, I found out that I was pregnant December 2020. I actually did not know that I was pregnant because that month me and my husband decided not to try for a baby. We just decided to take a break. So, no, I was not trying to get pregnant in December. I would never change it for the world. It was the most amazing experience of finding out. I was so excited. So we decided back in September of 2020 that we would start having a family because I actually thought I was pregnant back in September of 2020. I had missed my period. No, I didn't miss my period. I had actually thought that I was getting pregnancy symptoms. I have been on birth control since I was 14 years old. So the month of September, when I was taking birth control pills, I had just gotten off of my Mirena a couple months before then. And I was trying to get back into the groove of taking birth control pills because the reason why I started taking Mirena is because you didn't have to remember taking the pill. I always struggled remembering to take pills sometimes, especially when I moved out and got older and got more responsibilities. I just messed around with taking my pill. So in September, I thought I was pregnant because I had missed a few pills and I had taken them as, corrected when you remember, but I guess it had thrown off my period. So I'm thinking I'm getting pregnancy symptoms when really I was getting my cycle. But because that experience and feeling felt so exciting to me and my husband, that is when we decided to start to have a family, because I was so disappointed when I thought that I was pregnant and I wasn't, because the reality of it all seemed so real. And, I would sit back and I would make baby, lists of toys and clothes and all that. So that is how we decided to start our family. Of course, I have PCOS, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos. So trying to get pregnant was very, very hard. I wasn't ovulating for a while. My periods were horrible coming off of birth control, like horrible. And, major factor, I never really knew what a period was like off of birth control unless I missed a pill or something. It would be really, really bad, but I never really experienced PMS, or I never really knew what the body felt like off of birth control because I was on it since I was 14. I started my period when I was 10, but I just don't remember what periods were like, before birth control. So I always knew when my period was coming. I always was able to track it. I just didn't know. So coming off of birth control, it really sent me through a whirlwind of what the body actually went through off of birth control. So, so for the month of October and November, so from September, October, November, I struggled to get pregnant. So I decided to stop in December because it just wasn't happening and I just needed a mental break. So a few symptoms that I had getting my period versus finding out that I was pregnant were just wild. When I would get my period, my right ovary would hurt a lot. mainly my right side, sometimes my left side, but that side hurt so much sometimes. So I didn't think anything of one of the symptoms that I had. So the first symptom that I had that made me kind of question if I was pregnant or not. The first one was chocolate, brownies in particular. It was a snowy day and me and my husband were laying down watching movies. Sometimes he would be watching his stuff on his phone, and then I would be just watching TV. And if I keep looking over, it's because my munchkins are starting to wake up a little bit. So I am making sure that they're okay. So I, out of nowhere, wanted brownies. And of course, I'm thinking this is my period coming. Like, this is your period talking, girl. Because I don't really like to eat chocolate sometimes unless I'm on my cycle. But I really, really I wanted brownies so bad. But the funny thing about this that made me like question myself was every time I asked my husband if I could get brownies, maybe I can Uber some, can I go out and get some, he kept saying no. And every time he said no, I was getting so upset. But mind you, this is like beyond upset. Every time he told me no, I would cry my eyes out. Like, I would bawl. I would be sobbing like I lost my best friend. And it just didn't make any sense how upset that I was. Like, usually if I crave something and I don't get it, I'm totally fine. Like, obviously I want it, but like, I wouldn't be crying like that hard about it. So then I called my father-in-law and I'm like, do you have brownies? Now, he is the sweets master, the chocolate master. He loves himself some sweets. So I thought maybe he had some brownies. And he was like, if I did, though, it would be a while before I could get it to you because it's snowing. And I just wanted it right then and there. Like, I didn't care what anybody said. I'm like, come on, please. Like, my hubby doesn't want me to have any. Like, he keeps telling me no. And I would just cry on the phone. So finally, I got myself back together. And I'm just like, girl, what is wrong with you? They're just brownies. Like, what's wrong with you? Chill out. So I just, after that, I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, whatever, because I didn't get no brownies. So that was one of the symptoms that was different, that I kind of should have known something was up. But I just, again, when you're not trying, you're not thinking of it. Flash forward to maybe the next day, because that happened maybe 4 or 5 days before I took a test. The next day, me and my husband were cooking, and I like to snack at times when I'm cooking because I hate to wait to eat. I get so sick, so nauseous at times. So I decided to have some pickles, and the pickles were bomb too. But again, didn't think anything of it. So I like to try weird food combinations. I like to mix and match certain things, mainly salty and sweet. So my husband had poured himself a bowl of Cocoa Puffs, and I was eating pickles. So it was just a little snack before dinner time. And he scooped a spoonful of Cocoa Puffs in the milk and put a pickle on top of it and tried it. And he was like, oh, so, Bean might like this. So he had me try it. When I tell you, that was the most tastiest thing I have ever tried. I'm telling you, like, fireworks felt like they were going off in my head. It was so freaking good. Now, mind you, I'm thinking of it now. Like, if I was to pour myself a bowl of that now, I would think it was disgusting. Like, ew, gross. Like, I don't think I could eat that right now. But at that time, oh my gosh, it was so good. And I wound up eating, now, I had maybe half a jar of pickles left, but the fact that I ate the rest of that jar and I posted it online and everyone was like, oh, that looks like a pregnancy craving. And I was getting so pissed off because it's like, no, can't I just share something without you guys thinking I'm pregnant? But at the time, even that emotion was ridiculous because, like, it should have been funny to me. But like, I just got upset. And I think I got more upset because I want to have a baby. And at the time, it's like, it's not happening for me. So to hear someone say something like that, I guess it just made me more emotional than I thought, like, than it should have been. But yes, that was a crazy symptom. Like, oh my God, it was so good. So boom, the next day, I started getting a weird cramp on my right side, just my right side. It was bothering me. And that's when I thought, okay, I'm getting my period. Like, because that was something that always happened. But sometimes I would feel it more on one side, but then I would also feel it on the left side too. So I should have thought, I'm only feeling it on this one side, so that should have stuck out to me too. But I was really cramping on just one side. And then I'll explain why later. That makes sense. But I just started feeling crampy on one side. And it wasn't like period cramps, so it just kind of felt achy. Another symptom, sorry, I'm looking because he's starting to really wake up. But I'm just going to wait till he really gets up. So the next symptom, so I would say this is probably the last symptom that I had that made me be like, okay, Bean, you have to go test yourself because this doesn't make any sense. So this is kind of TMI. If you're not into hearing sexual things, I would just click away now, because it's a little bit embarrassing to even mention. So, one of the symptoms that I had before I would get my period versus like what I'm about to tell you now, was just kind of weird to me too. My boobs would hurt when I would get my period. Like my boobs and my nipples a little bit, but my boobs would hurt when I would get my period. And that was something I just didn't expect coming off of birth control either, because my boobs never hurt on birth control. But this particular incident, my nipples hurt so bad. When I tell you, it did not make no sense how bad my nipples hurt. I couldn't touch my nipples. Some days I wouldn't even want to put on a bra to go to work because my nipples hurt. And this is TMI, but me and my husband were being intimate one day, nipple action, obviously. But when he pinched them one time, I wanted to cry. This was actually the day before I found out that I was pregnant. When we were being intimate, he pinched them, and I literally was like, I was going to cry. I'm like, I had to stop. I'm like, I needed a moment. I had to gather myself together. I was like, listen, you can't. I'm sorry. I think I'm getting my period. You just can't touch them. Please don't touch them. Like, it just felt like the only way I can describe it is if you're outside and it's cold outside and your boobs get hard, your nipples get hard, and like say you bumped into them, or like you don't want to touch them when they're that cold, because it would just hurt. That's the only way or only thing I can compare it to. That's how bad they hurt. So flash forward the next day, the next morning, my husband usually leaves work around like 6:50, maybe 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, at the time when I was trying to get pregnant, I would test when he was gone, because I always wanted to surprise him. When I wanted to always put something together to surprise him, to tell him that I was pregnant. So I always tested when he was leaving out for work. And in this morning in particular, I wasn't going to test. I was just going to let it go. But I'm just like, maybe I should test, because my nipples were really hurting that day. And I just thought that maybe they were more like they were sore from, the night before. But I just woke up and they were throbbing. And I'm just like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. And usually you also test with your first morning's urine, but I didn't. I had already went to the bathroom. And then I just laid back down. Oh, but that was another symptom. I usually only pee one time in the morning, and then I'm good until I usually leave out to work at 9 o'clock. So if I go to the bathroom at 6, 7 in the morning, I won't have to go again until 11 o'clock or something, maybe sooner than that. Or sometimes I'll go right before I leave. But I also was peeing a lot, And I had upped my water intake too, because I was starting to work out and everything. And that, so it didn't really occur to me much, but I was peeing more than normal than like, because if I went at 6 something, I had to go again at like 7:15 or something. After my husband left, I had to go again. So I'm laying in bed, I'm on my phone. After he leaves, sometimes I get ready for work and then I just lay back down and rest. But I could not like get comfortable much, because I like to lay on my side on my stomach, and I couldn't really get comfortable because my boobs really hurt. So in my head, I'm like, my boobs were hurting so bad, and I'm just like thinking, Bean, just go ahead and take a test. Like, just take a test. You just never really know. So just take one. But then in my head, I'm like, you're not pregnant. So why are you going to set yourself up for failure? Why are you going to set yourself up to be upset? Like, why would you do this to yourself? But I'm just like, so I'm battling back and forth. So finally, I might just go take one. So I get up. I bought this big, because when you're trying to conceive, you don't realize how many ovulation tests you're going to buy. You don't even know how much pregnancy tests you're going to be taking, how many, pills you're going to take, supplements you're going to take to help you ovulate. So I had so many things in the bathroom that I had put away. So I bought, I went to Dollar Tree, and if you're trying to have a baby, go to Dollar Tree. They have tests for like 89 cents. Grab you a bunch of them. That's what I did in particular. I grabbed a bunch of those tests, and then when I was tracking my periods the month before, I wind up buying this easy at-home kit that goes with an app on your phone that you can test your ovulation. You take a picture of it to tell you if you're at your peak or not. So that test came with like 50 PK tests, which is ovulation kits, and then it came with like 25 HCG tests. So I had that. So that morning I decided to just take one of the cheap Dollar Tree tests. And I didn't like taking the blue dye. I don't know if you guys know, like there's pink dye test and there's blue dye test. Excuse me. I had tested false positive one time on a blue dye, which is like the clear blue and stuff like that. It's like when the lines are double or crisscross in their blue. So I took a pink one because I just wasn't trying to be disappointed. So I went in there. I'm like, let me just take this test. The pee test that I was taking had a dropper in it, so I was never good at peeing on sticks. Never. I don't know how people do it. I'm just not one of those people. So I had bought a bunch of Dixie cups to pee in so I can toss them away. So I opened up the pregnancy test, use the syringe, put a few drops of urine on it, and I'm just sitting there and I'm waiting, clean myself up, wash my hands, and I just wait a few minutes. So I look down and there is a very, very faint positive. And I'm just like, wait a minute. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God. Then I just start bugging out. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like I'm literally bugging out. And I'm like, this can't be real. This test is cheap. It's telling me what I want to see. This ain't it. But I'm just like bugging. I'm thinking like my eyes are playing tricks on me. So I run in and I snatch my iPhone and I turn the light on and I shine it behind it just to see if my eyes are playing tricks on me. And I'm like, no, there's definitely a very, very faint positive there, like very faint. So at this point, I'm like, I start like my heart, I wouldn't say panic, but my heart is racing at this point. So then I run over to the box of that whole kit that I got, and I snatched out a pregnancy test and I ripped the thing apart. And this one's a dip one. I didn't dump out my urine yet, so I dipped that one and then I laid it down. And I just wait, and there it is again, like a very faint positive, but it's there. And I am just like, oh my gosh. So at this point, I'm like, I really want to call my husband and be like, oh my gosh, babe, I think we're pregnant. I think this is it. I think this is our moment. But I'm like, I can't, because if this is real, I don't want to, one, I just didn't want to disappoint him either, because people think that this stuff takes a toll on the women. No, this takes a toll on the husbands too. So I was like, I'm not going to bother him until I know this is real. But then I'm like, I want to surprise him too. So it was hard because I really wanted to call and tell somebody. So the only person that, there's 2 or 3 people that knew that I was trying to get pregnant. So, my best friend and my other friend, and I think my cousin. But I called my best friend. I video chatted her. I felt bad because she lives in Cali, so the time there was like way early than the time it was here. But girl, if you're watching this, you come in clutch, because she always picked up the phone. So I pick up the phone and I'm like, best friend, look at this. I just took 2 tests and they're showing that I'm pregnant. It's very faint, you know, but I just need another pair of eyes. And I'm showing her the test and she's like, girl, no, I see it a little bit. I see it. So I'm just like, listen. And at this point, it's coming up close for me to get ready to go to work. I got to leave out. My hair wasn't done. I wasn't fully dressed. So, I'm like, girl, just stay on the phone with me. I'm finna take this. So I had some digital clear blues, and I had a set of digital clear blue and a set of regular, another just dipstick. So I ripped open the clear blue, and I didn't want to use the digital yet, because if the lines were faint, I was like, maybe the digital won't work. So I dipped one of the plus ones, like, you know, it tells you plus if you're pregnant. And then I dipped another one of the Easy Home pregnancy tests in there too. And I'm waiting, and there you have it. Like another, this one was faint positive. And then the other one was faint as well, but she's seen it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm pregnant. Like, and then I started crying. I'm like, I'm pregnant. There's no way. All of these tests are different. They're different brands. It's showing that I'm pregnant. So the last thing I did was I dipped the digital. Like, at that point, I became a pregnancy test frenzy. Like, I would test all the time. My munchkins are up. I'll be right back.